Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Andrew Tate went on Piers Morgan's show yesterday. In part 1 of this interview, Andrew talks about his experience in the Romanian prison system and why he feels he's being targeted by the Matrix. And Piers questions Andrew on some of his recent tweets about women and whether what he's posted is misogynistic. Plus, Andrew discusses his history of working with women in the Camgirl industry and more, so let's get into it. They start off getting right into his arrest in December of 2022. Andrew talks about how he knew his arrest was coming in one way or another. He didn't know why they would be coming for him, but he knew that it was coming. For the first 2 weeks that he was arrested, he didn't even know why he was there because he didn't speak Romanian and nobody there spoke English with him. And when he later found out why he was arrested, he realized that it was for a, quote, bullshit reason.
Just to clarify, I am accused of helping my friends get big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person on the planet.
Piers asks about the rumor that the Romanian authorities knew where Andrew was because he posted a picture of a Romanian pizza box online. Andrew says that there's no truth to that because a lot of people knew where he was and the Matrix was coming after him for a while. It's ironic that he went to Romania for the sole reason that he thought that the government wasn't too involved in people's lives, but he said that things change.
Also, your freedom and your ability to speak the truth is heavily correlated to your insignificance. When you become large and people start listening to what you say, you soon realize you no longer have freedom of speech. And it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. If they decide you must be assassinated, you will be assassinated.
Oh yeah, and he also keeps repeating that he thinks he's gonna be assassinated. Piers asks how jail was. Andrew says that it's exactly as bad as people expect it to be. It was winter, so the cockroaches weren't too bad, but the worst part was not knowing how long he'd be there. He also did around 11 to 12 days in solitary. During that time, Andrew says that his number one concern wasn't even himself. It was more about the people that he was responsible for, such as his children, his mother, and the people that work for him. Piers asks if Andrew ever got emotional or shed tears in his cell. He says that he is an emotional man and he missed people out there, but that he's, quote, no coward and wanted to uphold the values of being a strong man.
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's crying.
I would disagree.
Why are you so afraid of just calling it crying, though?
But I think the act of crying is an act of desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups, thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
Or you can just admit that it's called crying and no one's gonna blame you because that's a perfectly normal and human reaction to have. Side note, this is also why we see a slightly higher suicide rate amongst men. That's because of this really toxic mindset perpetrated by people like Andrew Tate that men need to be strong and if you cry or if you talk about your feelings that you're weak. Piers asks about the allegations of sexual assault against him. Andrew says that these allegations are made against every powerful man, and that's just the way that this matrix operates. Piers makes it known that we can't prejudge Andrew's guilt or lack thereof just yet. There will likely be a trial on this issue, and so we'll just have to await the results of that before we completely take his word. And Andrew says that he didn't suffer as much in jail as much as he did afterwards when he got out. The day he was arrested, all of his bank accounts and assets were frozen.
15 cars, 6 properties, 20 diamond watches, gold bars, cash, land, every single bank account, millions and millions and
What was
millions
the
of
total
dollars.
value of everything they seized?
16, 17 million?
Pounds?
Yeah.
And as they were sitting there, they were still awaiting a decision on whether he can get his assets returned. Piers asks how many children Andrew has, but Andrew refuses to answer, saying that that's confidential because he has enemies and he doesn't want his children used against him. Piers asks if all his children have the same mother, and apparently that's confidential information as well. Piers asks how he's managing to get by after all of his money was frozen. Andrew says that he's a man of God and he's just doing his best.
What does that mean?
It means I'm doing my very best. Absolutely everything I own is taken by the Romanian state. I don't have anything they don't have.
Okay, that's sketchy.
How do you pay for food?
I just have to do my best.
What does that mean?
It means that I believe in God and I pray.
Okay, so he fully has hidden money in offshore accounts or something. And while we're at it, watch this clip from the very end of the podcast.
You've never had hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course not.
You haven't, have you?
Of course not.
You said they took all your assets.
Exactly.
Well, did they or didn't they?
Of course, they took everything.
I mean, they'll be watching this. Are they to assume that there are hundreds of millions more dollars they haven't got yet?
No,
They
they're
should go
watching this.
buy.
That's right. They take absolutely everything. You have it all.
Right.
Piers says that Andrew and his brother were formally charged with rape, trafficking, and forming an organized crime group to sexually exploit women, and there were 7 alleged victims in the indictment. Andrew notes that they took all 6 months that they could to actually charge him, so they didn't actually have a case this whole time, and they tried so hard just to put something together. He says he was accused of making money from TikTok. The victims are saying he didn't exploit them, and there's no evidence of there being money transferred to him from TikTok. He thinks the real reason why he went to jail was because he tells the truth about controversial topics like, get this, COVID and Ukraine, and Piers does not buy it. They literally go into a whole argument about COVID being real or not, with obviously Piers taking the stance that it was. I don't know what's happening in this world that I've been agreeing with Piers Morgan a lot lately, but little Delulu Andrew blames COVID on, guess what, The Matrix. This man needs an education.
I'm an extremely logical person.
Saying you're a logical person doesn't make you a logical person. They move on after a good 10 minutes of arguing about this, with Piers Morgan asking about the lover boy method, which is just making women fall in love with you and persuading them to do webcam stuff. Andrew interrupts him to say that it was TikTok and not webcam stuff. Didn't he, on multiple instances, admit to having run a webcam business? When did it suddenly become TikTok? Is this something his lawyers are making him say? Like, boy, TikTok's been around for only a few years. You've allegedly had this business for way longer than that.
If I was abusive and mean, they wouldn't say lover boy method. You know what lover boy method means? Being nice. He was nice and polite and kind, and they really liked him as a person, and he told them how to do TikTok.
But that's not what the
He's
lover boy...
a lover boy. Of course it is.
Andrew, that's not what the lover boy method is.
Absolutely it is.
The lover...
Piers clarifies that the lover boy method is actually where perpetrators woo their victims with the prospect of a loving relationship until they can be forced into abusive situations or a form of slavery. Andrew tries to draw a terrible analogy between that and him coming on this show, trying to say that Piers being nice to Andrew's team to get him on the show was a form of coercion, and thus the use of the lover boy method. That's kind of a stretch even for you, Andrew.
I wasn't nice to you and I didn't call you a nice guy.
I feel lover boy. I feel lover boy.
Do you?
Piers. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Piers recalls Andrew saying a PhD was a pimping hose degree. Andrew says that that was merely satire and that it was 9 years ago and he's a completely different person now. I'm not sure how it works in Romania, but some crimes don't have a statute of limitations, Andrew. It's really odd that there is so much evidence of you talking about pimping girls out. I find it really hard to believe that that wasn't actually what you were doing. Even if that's not what you do now or haven't been doing for the past decade, you still did that at what point? So the fact that it was 9 years ago is not a defense for a lot of crimes. Also, it's worthy of mentioning that 9 years ago was long before TikTok ever existed. So this pimping situation could not have been in regards to him helping girls out with creating and growing on TikTok. But Andrew compares himself to rappers who repeatedly refer to themselves as pimps.
Of course I've not been a pimp. I've said I'm a pimp. I've said I'm an astronaut. I've said I'm a cowboy. I've said I'm the strongest man in the world. I've said I'm James Bond. Throw me in jail.
Are you just...
Put me in jail.
Okay.
I deserve it. 9 years ago I made a joke on the internet.
So Piers asks if Andrew Tate is even real and if anything he says is actually true or to be taken seriously. Andrew says that he just exaggerates. Piers brings up allegations of misogyny and reads out some stuff that he tweeted literally last week that are misogynistic. There's this tweet where Andrew says, "Any woman I date does not have a job. Why would I be working so hard to have hundreds of millions for my woman to waste her life enslaved for pennies? No, I will give you a life you could never afford ever. Private jets, 5-star hotels, new cars, endless spending money and diamonds. You will be rich because you are praying for me every day and protecting my spirit. Women shouldn't have to work because being a good partner is a full-time job for a woman. She has to look good. All the beauty treatments are time intensive. Not about money, takes a lot of time. She has to train every day and stay in fantastic shape. Shop to look amazing next to me. They need to have huge sections of their day empty to waste or they will have a mental breakdown. And do you want a woman who's stressed and angry after the commute, unshaven and exhausted? Or do you want a Barbie doll who's always smiling and saying thank you because she did her nails and bought new Prada that day? As a man, unless you're a loser, you're already filthy rich, right? You can get endless sex anyway. Girls are easy. So what can a girl give you? Happiness vibes, always smiling, take the edge of a stressful life. Can she always be happy if she's been working all day? No. She has to wake up at 11, gym till 1 appointment and some shopping, dress beautiful by 7 p.m. for you to finish working and tell you how strong you are. No matter how pissed off you are, she always has to be laughing and smiling and writing you little notes about how you are perfect. And she has to be playful and funny. She can't do that if she has a job. So your job is being my girlfriend and now you're a millionaire. Congratulations. Behave and aim for the promotion to wife. Piers says that this is the purest definition of misogyny that he's ever read. Andrew says that it's sarcastic, but then in the same breath, he says that he actually agrees with it. But then he goes back on what he says without admitting that he's actually going back on it by basically saying, oh, well, a woman shouldn't have to work. It's fine if she wants to, but like, that's not what you said in that tweet. And then the real him comes out.
And I get to have you. Your job is to be happy. I want you to smile. I want you to look your best and feel your best all of the time.
Oh yeah, that's not misogynistic at all. Andrew argues that the best relationship is the traditional household where the man is the head of the house and blames everything bad that's happening in this world on men not being the head of the house. He defends having once said that females have an inclination to make stupid choices by saying,
females are emotional.
If a man isn't giving you instructions,
now, females are emotional.
Hang on.
Piers,
he doesn't love you. All this stuff.
Yep, not misogynistic. Piers theorizes that if Andrew hasn't actually committed the crimes that he's being accused of, then maybe the reason why he's being accused of these things is that in his head, he doesn't see what's wrong with the way that he thinks and behaves around women.
You want to control women. You want them to be effectively your servants, slaves, for want of a better phrase.
Slaves who get Prada and get to work out in the gym and get to look good.
But you understand,
while
do you understand
work.
the point I'm making?
No.
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong in this world if I agree so much with everything Piers Morgan is saying. And then they managed to spend another 10 minutes talking about COVID being real or fake. And then Piers Morgan brings up this point. Amanda Holden tweeted this picture of her in a bikini saying good morning, to which Andrew Tate responds saying, you're a wife and a mother and you're far past a teenager. There is no need for this post. Andrew says that once you reach the ripe age of 50, you shouldn't be posting bikini pictures on Instagram because you have far greater responsibilities.
I'm sure she's a very intelligent lady and she's done amazing things. She's famous. She's obviously very capable. And I think she could do things more interesting than standing around trying to thirst trap on Instagram like she's 18. I was reminding her of her ripe age and her intellect, and there is no need for that.
But like, it's literally none of your business. Piers asks at what point are his thirst traps going to become inappropriate? And he says never, which Piers obviously calls him out for that double standard there. Andrew keeps bringing up the fact that plenty of women would want to be with him and hope to find someone with the same attitude towards women as him. Piers notes that there is a certain type of woman who's attracted to that lifestyle, sure. And so obviously his previous girlfriends are going to be in that category of women, but that is not representative of how all women think. Regarding his impact on the thought of young men, Andrew says that he tries very carefully to think out every single word that he puts out there so that they don't get misconstrued. But didn't he just post that out-of-pocket tweet last week that was, in his words, sarcasm? So was it sarcasm, or is he trying to ensure people don't misconstrue his words? It can't be both. As I'm working on this video, part 2 has just come out with Andrew's brother, so let me know if you would like a summary of that, but that was basically it for part 1. Please make sure to comment your opinions down below, give this video a thumbs up, and here is some very, very, very well needed eye bleach.
You're good. You're good. Whyy?